Okay. Already pretty trippy. Okay, let's turn down the audio a bit as it's slightly loud. I'll have to use the analog stick. Interesting. Okay. Rinko? Okay, I can't hear it anymore. What the heck? I cannot hear it anymore. Okay, test, audio, test. Hopefully it doesn't suddenly get like super loud. God damn it, Rinko. Erica? No one wants to talk about it, but it's all that's on anyone's mind these days. Mysterious things are happening all around Shibuya. Sightings, attacks, disappearances, fear. How is a kid supposed to be a kid in a time like this? But honestly, Ryota never really was like most kids. He's not usually glued to his phone all day. So this kid is Ryota. Okay, the Kirigo vanishing, the Maranauchi vanishing, and the bathroom vanishing. So a bunch of people going missing. Ryota's concerns bring him to a mysterious case file posted online. It's titled the... Oh, did I have to pick one? Kirigaoka vanishing. He reads it to himself the best he can. Having tracked another report of dark fog to the area, I arrived to find it had passed, leaving a dreary rain hanging over the neighborhood. At the scene, all we found were the clothes of a mother and a son, left behind like two molted cicada shells. It's hard to even imagine. A parent and her child just gone, precious lives snuffed out forever. My heart sank knowing that I had failed to protect them. It was the worst feeling I'd ever felt. As if on cue, the rain started pouring down. Heavier and heavier it fell with each passing minute, but I couldn't be bothered to take out my umbrella. That's when the obvious culprits returned to the scene of the crime, a group of monsters. They had umbrellas of their own, as if rain followed them wherever they go. I was furious. I brought hell down onto them at that very moment. They tried to protect themselves with the umbrellas, but I just kept pounding on them until they were battered and broken. I was so exhausted I could have fallen over at any moment, but my utter wrath kept me going. As I picked up to leave, I still refused to open up my own umbrella. I just walked away, rain pouring and soaking me to the bone. KK. Oh yeah, I can pick one. So that was the Kirigo vanishing. Then we've got the Marunouchi vanishing. Unable to shake the idea that monsters are all around him, Ryota navigates on his phone to a document called the Marunouchi vanishing. The language is complicated, but he works to understand it. It says... I got a tip on a missing woman from Marunouchi. When you've been a detective as long as I have, you tend to build up a big network of contacts. The story my contact told me was that they saw the woman one day when the fog rolled in. It blanketed the area and then poof, she was gone. Times like these make me wish a certain somebody was around. Come to think of it, the fog and these disappearances set the scene for when I first met the rest of my crew. Everybody kept talking about folks just up and disappearing, and I thought it was a load of horseshit. It wasn't until I met them and until my encounter that I believed. Ever since then, I've been haunted by what I would have once called hallucinations. Turns out, being able to see spirits and monsters isn't fantasy movie nonsense after all. Guess I should be thankful, because otherwise I wouldn't have seen through that monster taking the form of that woman. She made a bunch of red orbs appear that chased me around, but I knew so long as I didn't let myself get surrounded, I'd be okay. She was a nightmare to look at, so I put her out of her misery. When I searched the scene, I spotted a woman's handbag, found the missing lady's ID cards in there. Then I came across some clothes that looked like they would have been hers. They were in a little pile, but the way they had fallen made it clear her body had just vanished. No mistaking whose handiwork it was either. I'd finally managed to get my hands on a solid enough lead to work with. KK. So KK's this detective that's going around right? The bathroom vanishing. Could monsters really live among us? These case files say that yes, they absolutely can and do, according to this one. A lady called me about a missing person who vanished from the bathroom of her apartment. Usually I'd brush it off as another runaway. But after seeing the crows circling above her apartment, I had a feeling there'd be more to this. Dude, I'm ready for some eerie environments, man. The black stains on the front door verified my hunch. It turns out that I'm the only one that can see these black stains. The lady who lived there and showed me had made no signs of noticing it. She showed me the bathtub and gave me a play-by-play of what happened. Her boyfriend was taking a bath longer than usual, and so she went to the bathroom to check in on him. When she opened the door, her boyfriend was gone, and for a short instant, there was a reflection of an old shrine on the surface of the bathwater. Old shrine. I rubbed my finger on the rim of the bathtub, and there was a transparent, sticky, slime-like substance on it. A reflection of a shrine shone on the water's surface. I'll need to talk further with my team about this incident, to see if these things ring any bells. I purged my black stain on the front door, and then left to the scene. Poor lady. What will she do now? What can any of us do? Purged? Okay, so what? Do we just do this? In these posts, the kid had found something, or rather someone. Someone called KK has been looking into monsters in this part of town. A believer, just like Ryota. Social media would never lie, and that means KK is an expert. Maybe the expert in all things paranormal. Ryota says, there's only one thing left to do. Having poured out over every story, post, and grainy photo about local monsters he could find, Ryota prepares to take action. Ryota says, I'm going to ask this KK guy to help. Just got to figure out where he lives first. Does that mean, is Ryota the main character of the main game? Because this is, no, that can't be right, because that guy looks way older than, and I think there's only 6 months, difference between these, I think. Am I Ryota says, Dear Mr. Investigator Person. Rinko says, Dear Mr. Investigator Person. Hello? Oh, I guess Rinko is either KK or someone else reading in on the post? Hello, how are you? I am not good and I need your help. Monsters got my best friend Sosuke. Rinko sits up in her chair. She's zeroed in on one of a dozen monitors from across a makeshift command center stuffed in this cramped Tokyo apartment. Rinko says, It happened near the manhole. Please help me get him back. Data flies across the screen, seemingly too much, charts and graphs, maps and mathematical equations, even social media feeds and open case files. Somehow through all of those screens and all of that clutter, Ryoto's message catches Rinko's eye. Rinko says, Sounds desperate, but it could just be some bored kid trolling us. Calm and confident, Rinko insists on balancing compassion with skepticism in her analytical approach. Rinko says, on the other hand, that manhole is within the vicinity of several recent incidents. Maybe he is involved. She knows what she thinks, but she also knows no one can protect Tokyo all by themselves. Trusting your teammates is the only way to keep everyone safe. Rinko says, what do you make of it, Ed? Okay. Ed squints and takes a single deep breath as he turns to the screen. So maybe neither of these guys are KK? Or KK is just like a... Or maybe he's KK? Ed is KK? Nah. No way. There's something to say but holds it back. Technology is easy, people are hard. Instead of speaking up, he places a small recorder on his desk. He presses play, and as the audio begins to roll, Ed turns and walks away. Ed's voice... he says, I've heard intriguing stories about so-called manhole girls in Japan. Vengeful ghosts of bullied students said to trick other children into following them into the sewer, from where they never return. If any information turns up about such anomalies, I'd be keen to investigate, though I speak purely out of personal interest. It might not be enough to make the rest of my team pursue it without further evidence. Okay. Rinko says, okay, safe to say since you somehow found the time to record something this specific about a single urban legend that you want to look into it. Ed is already engrossed in other work. He doesn't respond. He certainly doesn't notice when Rinko rolls her eyes. He rarely does. Rinko says, probably best we have no idea how you spend your free time, huh, Ed? Okay, Eric has been sitting next to Rinko this entire time, listening and waiting for the right time to chime in. That time is... Erica says, want me to check it out? It's KK. So KK is either this or a name for this organization, or it's an individual that's not amongst them or is amongst them. Erica says, want me to check it out? Rinko says, I don't think so, Erica. It could be dangerous. What if something happens to you? Erica says, seriously? You still don't trust me to go out by myself for 5 minutes in the middle of the day? At just 16 years old, Rinko might be right not to trust Erica on something dangerous. But Rinko knows that Erica has shown a maturity beyond her years. She gives Erica an almost sisterly look of skepticism. Rinko says, you know it's not that. Rinko quickly turns back to her monitors and away from Erica. But for all her maturity, Erica can't quite keep from pouting. Rinko says, stop making that face. Besides, we've got our very own private detective in the vicinity already. Okay, so KK might be the detective that's part of the organization? I'll have him take a look. The stall is brimming as a wide array of customers eat in relative silence. The only sound they make is the slurping of their noodles. The silence breaks when a phone begins to vibrate upon the countertop. The owner ignores it, choosing to focus on his meal instead. The phone doesn't care about his hunger and continues to vibrate. The phone wins. The peace and solitude have shattered. There is no way to enjoy noodles. This guy must be KK. God damn it. The silent diner finally glances at the screen. He begins to mutter to himself. Another case? These people have me working harder than my enemies ever did. Can't even get 5 minutes to enjoy a nice quiet lunch. Answer. He says, let me guess. I'll be risking life and limb. Rinko says, that why you let it ring for so long? Too scared to pick up? He says, ha, you know the exact day I stopped being scared of anything. Oh, this is it. Wait, Ed says, the day you stopped being a loner and hooked up with us so we could have your back? He says, sure, that works. Besides, I'm not full enough to pretend this team isn't half okay. Erica says, if you need backup, you know I'll be there. No questions asked. I actually already volunteered, but... Rinko says, but right now, there's nothing dangerous to be worried about. It's a simple check-in on a report of some suspicious activity that might be connected to these phenomena we've been looking into. He says it's always the simple cases that go south the fastest. Rinko says, you know what? You're right. Maybe Erica should run point on this one. Sure, she's just a kid, but you're busy, so... Wait. Why do they make it sound like Erica is more equipped to deal with situations that go south over this guy? They're like, maybe we should have Erica run point and you can just enjoy your noodles. He says, well, hold up. Let's not sacrifice the rookie to make me look bad. Sacrifice the rookie. He says, I'm already out. Send me the info and I'll get on it. First, though, I need to talk to one of you about something. Oh, I guess I can pick who I talk to? I mean, let's talk to... Wait, how come I can talk to myself? He says, you know what? On second thought, I've heard everything I need. Just point me in the right direction. I'm sure I can figure out the rest. I should have talked to someone. Ryota doesn't notice the people passing him on the street. They don't notice him either. He is young, but he is very much alone. His focus is centered on the small bit of paper in his hands. After a couple folds, the paper finds a familiar configuration. With a head, arms, and body, it takes shape. A palm-sized person stands in his hand. As Ryota inspects his creation, someone has been observing him from afar, steps out of the shadows. So this guy isn't... This isn't the same guy who just answered his phone. This is a different guy, right? He says, what have you got there? Ryota looks up. He's nervous but clutches the paper doll in his hand to stay brave. He's not running or hiding despite the gruff stranger staring at him. Oh, it is him. Okay, he just looked a bit different. No need to be afraid. I'm not here to do anything bad to you or your little friend. Gotta admit, I've been known to carry the odd paper doll with me on investigations. Strange habit, I know. But you get the benefits of a partner without the annoying small talk. Ryota's shoulders ease. He lets his guard down as he listens to the detective and re-examines the folded paper. The detective surprises himself with his playful tone. He's rusty, but he somehow still feels comfortable talking to this scared kid. He says, sometimes paper dolls are used for magical purposes. You a sorcerer by chance? Now's the time to tell me. Ryota says, so you really are him, huh? KK, yeah. He says, you're gonna have to be more specific, kid. You're KK, the ghost hunter from the files? You must be. I just thought you'd be taller. They say you solve strange mysteries. Right? KK? Maybe. The detective looks closely at Ryota's phone. He sees the social media posts featuring photos of various case files he has worked on collected in one place. He says, look, I only use those initials because writing out my name is a pain and I got too much pain already. Is he not going to tell us his name? He says, not your problem, right? Anyway, that's me, KK. But I'm not a ghost hunter, I'm a detective. KK's demeanor hardens a bit, dropping the playfulness. He says, you wanted to investigate a kid. Well, you got one. Ryota says, I'm so glad you're going to look into the disappearances at the manholes. Can I, like, turn this up a little bit? It's so quiet. I can. Why did it start off so quiet to begin with? He said, here's the thing I already did. Made some calls on the way here. There's no record of any recent disappearances. He says, still got a few friends on the floor so I can dig up dirt quick. KK shoots Ryota a serious look. KK says, not trying to pull a fast one on me, are you, kid? He says, it's true, honest. My buddy Sosuke disappeared. He hasn't come home since yesterday. Last place I saw him was right back here. Ryota motions to the alleyway behind him. He went down that way. I tried to follow, but I couldn't find him. He was completely gone. If Ryota is bluffing, he's an incredible liar. A sadness comes over him when he looks back toward the alley. Look at his sad face. He's like sad angry. KK looks back and forth from the kid then to the alleyway behind him. And alleys are dark. All alleys are dark, but this one looks like it's never seen daylight. KK says, see any fog when that happened? The moment he disappeared? Ryota says, now that you mention it, there has been something spooky around, like a kind of fog or darkness, but it came and then went. KK says, alright. KK mutters something to himself as he eyeballs the alleyway behind Ryota. Nothing looks immediately out of place. With so much going down in the city, some kid getting lost doesn't exactly seem like front page news. Okay. These choices are like... I mean, I think he's telling the truth, right? Press for more info. KK says, I need more to go on, kid. Why are you so convinced that he was taken? Didn't happen to anyone else around here. Ryota says, but it did happen to my best friend. Sasuke's been missing for 2 full days. Everyone has been looking, but no one can find him. He says, what about his parents? Have they filed a police report? Ryota says, I'm the only one who really cares about Sasuke. I know he needs me. And no one else is even looking for him anymore, just me. KK says he's lucky to have you. Ryota says, it's like when you saw crows circling above the building in one of the cases you investigated. You know there was more to it than everyone else. Well, Mr. KK, I know there's more to Sasuke's disappearance. I just need your help. KK says, really did your homework, huh? I'm impressed. You're more dedicated than most adults I know. You remind me of my friend Erika. She lost someone too, and she'll never stop fighting for them either. KK takes another glance at the alley. KK says, alright, show me exactly where this Sasuke pal of yours disappeared. Ryota perks up. Ryota says, so you're gonna look into it? KK says, I'm here, ain't I? Let me check in with my team and see if they figured anything out. Could save us some time. KK reaches for his phone. Rinko says, what's up? We're all here. KK says, I just need a quick word with one of you to follow up on what the kid has told me. I mean, I guess I'll talk to... You? KK says, you find anything else? I know you've been searching all over your fancy computer. Rinko says, some worrying details have started to emerge. The type of details that mean he is he is for sure involved. Social media is starting to fill up with these posts about the appearance of a mysterious dark fog. It's been popping up in neighborhoods with similar datasets to the one Ryota called from. School absences are also on the rise. I can't confirm if those represent actual disappearances or just spooked kids trading scary stories, but it's clear fear and paranoia are taking hold. KK says, yeah, figured out that much. Rinko says, oh really? You carry a fear and paranoia detector now? Did Ed develop that when I wasn't paying attention? KK says, yeah, on the force what gave me the fear, my fear detector. You can't beat experience. But I do appreciate your input, even if I already knew it all. Ryota? Time to find Sosuke. KK says, nothing looks out of place, but things are rarely what they seem. KK slowly but deliberately reaches his hands out. He's not holding on to anything, but you would think that he is by the way he's moving, like he's got something invisible dangling from his fingertips. Ryota has no clue what he's trying to do, but he watches closely. However, what happens next can only be seen by KK's eyes. As KK opens his fingers, a sparkling orb of energy drops from his hand down onto the ground. It ripples like water in a still pond, energy flowing outward into the world. Okay. Okay, well, that's a spirit. A strange trail floats into view, as though a spirit has passed through this place. KK says psychic energy. The trail leads further on, deeper into the alley and out of view. KK says, guess he went that way. Puzzled, Ryota follows KK's outline down the alley, but sees nothing out of the ordinary. Ryota says, what happened? I don't see anything. KK says, trust me kid, it's good you can't see it. This is a power you don't want. And you're too young for it. So take a risk like that and change your life forever. The world's a scary place, it keeps getting worse. We're gonna find your friend and get you back to your life. KK and Rinko are in big trouble this time. Running like rats desperate to stay alive with only a dingy old sofa between them and... Was there a time skip? We're not in the alley anymore. KK says, monsters! Rinko says we'd better find another exit. Rinko turns to KK and sees him holding his head. He appears to be in great pain. KK says, damn, it's happening again. Rinko says, your body's reacting to the ether. As KK looks at the room, his vision begins to break in half. He tries to focus, but rather than reform, everything continues to split apart even further. This is trippy. KK says, another hallucination. This world is breaking in two. Rinko says, that'd be crystallized ether, another form of matter. Sounds like your body has entered the final stages of affinity. KK says, yeah. From thin air like phantoms, these horrific visitors appear, surrounding KK and Rinko. Rinko says, damn, we're surrounded. Can I see these monsters? What? What the hell happened? Ryota says, Mr. KK? Are you okay? KK says, huh? Sorry kid, my mind can be a little hard to control. Okay, this is strange. Did you like flashback or did you actually experience something just now? Ryota says, you just kind of stood there for a little while. KK says, sometimes my memories take me places. Okay. He says, hate to leave you alone again, but you need to wait here while I look for your pal. Sit tight, I won't be long. A report on Rinko's computer setup flashes on screen. Ed's monitoring software has a hold of something big. The results are clear, spiritual residue, and is exactly at KK's location.
Oi.
KK says, what is it now? Rinko says, we just received an alert. There was a massive surge of spiritual energy at your location. Hold off on pursuing until we're able to send support. He says, can't wait forever for you guys. We might have a missing child on our hands. We got plenty of evidence. I know what I'm getting myself into. KK says, remember, fog reports are increasing. There's fear in the streets. Time to act. Rinko says, of course I know those things. I'm the one who told you. I also know how dangerous it's getting out there. This time could be even worse than the last. What if he shows up?
Oi, oi.
KK says, wish he would. Excited to see that mask snap in two when I put my fist through it. Rinko says, it's not fair to ask for help when you think you need us. Then use your own words against us when you're too impatient to act as a team. We're in this together. Keike decides to address one team member specifically to make his case. I mean, I guess I'll just talk. I'll talk to the kid, I guess. Keike says, what Erica and I have been through, I don't expect everyone else to understand. Hell, I barely understand it. Here's what I do understand. I take risks so others don't have to, and yeah, you all do the same thing. That's why I'm proud to call you my team. But it has to stop somewhere. A line needs to be drawn. Rinko says, we aren't the vulnerable ones who need your protection. We're all strong, and that strength multiplies when we work together to help others. Erica says, you two are so special to me, both of you, and I think I understand where you're both coming from. It's just that this thing, this torment, once that power is gone inside of you, the affinity, Erica says, it won't let you rest. Erica says, it's like being chased. We are running from something awful. I'm sorry that I'm not making sense. I just can't be quiet right now, and I have to speak my truth. I have to support whatever decision he makes. The truly selfish act would be to stand still and let it overtake you. In the end, I know that I would do the same thing. Keike says, let's hope you never have to. I'll talk to you later. I'm in the middle of investigating. So Rinko and Keike have been touched by this energy, I guess? And they've gone through, I think they're, okay, that's why they're the fieldmen, because they're the only ones that can actually, that have this power to enter the spiritual realm, or whatever they want to call it. Rinko says, he never was any good at following people's directions. Ed says, that attitude of his is precisely what saved our hides on countless occasions. Rinko says, you don't think I realize that? Erica smiles, thinking about Keike's attitude. It doesn't bother her. Okay. Now, are these just like people who have disappeared and have now become part of the spiritual realm or something? Rinko says, damn, they're everywhere. Keike's eyes dart between the two horrific figures and to some incredibly strange glowing crystals that hover nearby. As he tries to speak, Keike wheezes painfully. He says, Rinko, what would happen if someone tried to touch one of those ether crystals? Rinko says, your guess is as good as mine. Might give you the power to fight back, might just make you even more miserable. Who can say? Okay, so Rinko can see these, right? So what makes Keike and Erica special? Because if Rinko can see it, then she's just as she plays just as much any part of this as the other two, unless the other two have gone through something more significant. Keike says, what about him? Did it grant him strength? Rinko nods silently. After getting his answer, Keike without hesitation stretches his hand out toward the crystals. Rinko says, wait, stop. Keike says, stopping's not an option, not for any of us. Rinko says, you don't know what will happen, it could kill you. Keike says, and those things won't? We're dead if we don't try something. Yeah. Rinko says, we aren't out of options yet. Keike says, you've thrown away everything to fight these monsters, same as me. There's not a goddamn thing left to lose at this point. Before Rinko can say anything else, Keike reaches all the way out. Touches the crystals, and then... Keike follows a trail of psychic energy deeper into the dark Shibuya alleyway, away from the glow of familiar streetlights and vending machines. I'm so confused. How is this other scenario playing out as we're investigating the alleyway? Is he flashbacking? He has to be flashbacking. His venture into the unseen brings him to a manhole cover where the spirit residue flashes with an eerie intensity. The spot is clearly the origin point for whatever spirit is at the center of this mystery. Keike says, do they take you this way, Sosuke? Keike looks around again and finding nothing, focuses his attention on this haunted manhole. The spectral vision shows Keike a lot more than he thought it might, revealing a glowing specter hovering in this dark and dreary place, the spirit of a man in his 30s. A man in his 30s. A Jibaku-rei, according to Japanese lore, this type of spirit is trapped in a physical location. Okay, this is really loud. Hang on. The music is very loud. KK says, okay, Spectre, what's keeping you tied down there? Spectre says, Spectre seems unable to answer him. Instead, he mutters as if distracted or perhaps completely delirious. Either or, maybe both. Spectres aren't especially concerned with politeness or clarity. KK says, neither of us is going anywhere until I get some answers. I need to know, what are you doing here? Specifically at this manhole cover. Why haunt this place? Spectre says, I thought it was a kid. Just a kid playing around, just having fun, alone. I wanted to make sure he was safe. KK says, so just being neighborly, eh? Spectre says, yes. No, not making friend. Protecting, but he wasn't. It wasn't. KK says, it wasn't a kid though, was it? There was something else. Something lurking in these shadows. Spectre says, did I die? I think I died. But this isn't what I expected. KK says, what was it? Spectre says, monster? A monster? The Spectre points downwards. KK says, underneath, huh? KK stares at the manhole as though if he just looks hard enough, he'll suddenly see what lurks in the darkness beneath its cover. He doesn't have to see the Spectre nod to know he's right. It went that way. Before he can pull up the manhole cover and see for himself, a long shadow creeps in from the edge of the alleyway. Ryota says, did you find anything? Ryota! KK says, snooping around is detective business. You don't belong back here. Ryota says, I thought I heard you talking to someone. The Spectre says, who is this youngster? KK says, only I can hear you, so don't bother. Ryota says, only you can hear me? Well sure, nobody else is even here. KK says, this is turning into a damn clown show, kid. Kid, I need you to stay here while I go down. It's not safe for you there. The Spectre says, not safe. Not safe, monster. Ryota says, but how do you know I'll be safe up here? KK says, my team's one call away. They'll get here quick if you're in danger. Rinko says, weren't you just saying something about being in the middle of an investigation and too busy to talk to anyone? KK says, funny you should mention that. I could actually use some help. I believe they call it client services. Ryota says, who are you calling, mister? Are they nice like you or nicer? Client services? It sounds more like babysitting to me. If only you just wait for us to get there. You would just wait for us to get there. KK says, we play the hand we're dealt, and juggling work and childcare has never been my strong suit. I need a little support. Rinko sighs, a long tired sigh of a frustrated person who knows that in the end, of course they'll help. She'll always help him, just as he will always help her. KK says, I have the perfect candidate in mind. I have to pick one to protect. I mean, it has to be the girl, right? Like they make her sound like she's the point man if it's not me. So it has to be you. KK says, Erica. She's the only kid I actually know and like more. Erica says, hey KK, you need my help? I can be there ASAP. KK says, I do need your help, but it can't wait. My new friend Ryota, the one who called us for help? Erica says, is he a little afraid of you? KK says, what? No, why would you think that? I mean, yeah, maybe a little. But no, that's not it. Although it'd be better if he did fear me. Then I could do my work. Erica says, oh, yeah, you aren't really that scary. I think I get it. Let me talk to him. KK hands his phone to Ryota and motions for him to accept this call. Ryota says, yes? Erica says, is this Mr. Ryota? Ryota says, yes. Erica says, I'm so excited that I get to speak with you. I've heard that you're quite the investigator. I need help from someone like you. Ryota says, what could I do to help you? Erica says, well, our friend who is there with you, he actually has 2 missions. Since he is looking for your friend, maybe you could swap and look for my friend? If we share the responsibility, I'm sure that we can achieve success together as a team. Ryota says, I suppose I could try to help you since he is helping me. Erica says, okay, but first, can you keep a secret? It's very important and related to this mission. Ryota says, yes, I'm the best at secrets. I won't tell you how I know that, but it's true. Erica says, my friend is a cat. I put a tracker on her collar that says she is nearby you, in the alley by your house. I miss her dearly. I'm a little embarrassed to admit it, but some of my best friends are animals. Ryota says, your secret is safe with me, but what does she look like? Erica says, she is all black with 1 white spot and a few white whiskers. Imagine he actually found the cat that follows the description. Her name is Monette, like the painter, and she really likes to hide. Can you look closely in between and behind all of the vending machines and trash cans? Just to be safe, text me a picture of every dark corner you can find. She's very good at camouflage and easy to miss. Ryota says, I will find your friend. Ryota hands the phone back to KK and turns his attention to the nearest trash can. Phone out, he seems to be inspecting each side of it. Erica says, lucky for you, your new buddy's an animal lover just like me. I've given him a rescue mission to find a missing cat and send me a photo of it. KK says, but what if he succeeds? Tons of strays here, he might actually bump into one. Erica says, I could always use more cat pics texted to me, and maybe he'll give it a home and that it needs. Win-win. KK says, now to get down there and find your pal Sosuke. Gullible kid. If Ryota was smart enough to bloody track, well, I mean, it doesn't take much to really track down information, I guess. He should be now that he's being played. Dirty water splashes under KK's feet as he makes his way through the still darkness of Shibuya sewers. The further he goes, the darker it gets, but not because of any change in light. No, this darkness is unnatural. In fact, it's not darkness at all. It's tangible. A dense fog made of spiritual energy fills the air. Toxic, paranormal waste coats the ground and blocks the drains. Okay, hello. But the air itself is rejecting him. This corruption flows between worlds and reaches around him, blocking KK's way. Can I touch it? KK says, how long has it been building up? Right below our feet? Is it like this everywhere? As KK goes deeper, the Kagari only increases. There's definitely something here if this much corruption swirling around. Nothing I can't handle though. Alone in the darkness, KK summons his power and... hold X and trace the shape to clear the sewer of corruption. Oh, I see. Nice. Beautiful. Nope. Am I doing it? Oh my god. Have I done it yet? There we go. When does the corruption return the sewer to its normal state? KK says that's better, minus the stink. With the Kagari now cleared, as if they were waiting for a moment of safety, someone appears. I'm so confused. KK says, Sasuke, is that you? The small boy avoids KK's look, turning his back and picking at something on the wet ground. The small boy... splish splash, splish splash. KK says, hey you, kid. You okay? Can you hear me? Are you hiding from something? Small boy, take a bath, take a bath. KK says, come on kid, this isn't the time or place. Answer me. I'm not trying to scare you, but you gotta work with me here. In the vast darkness of the sewer, the sound of KK's phone suddenly rings out, the teeny chime echoing back and forth around the hollow space. The small boy in the raincoat doesn't seem to notice. He must be very preoccupied. KK says, I'm close. I found Sasuke, but I'm worried he won't... I mean, first of all, how can you assume that's Sasuke just because it's a small person? Rinko's muffled sounds? Uh-oh. Down so far, the signal to KK's phone is barely holding on. He can only make out a few sounds and struggles to make out what words they might be forming. Muffled sounds.
Oi, oi.
KK says, hello, is anybody there? Rinko, is that you? Ed? Erica? Who is this? Oh god. I mean, I guess I'll talk to Ed this time. Ed, can you hear me? Are you with Ryota? Can you ask him? Was Sasuke wearing a yellow raincoat? The scratchy connection makes it almost impossible to understand. Ed says Sasuke. KK says it's about Sasuke? Not? He's saying it's not Sasuke? KK says, Ed, I can't understand. Sasuke is not what? It's not Sasuke, you dummy. Ed says, not Sasuke. The call cuts out, the phone's going dead in KK's hand. KK says, damn. Enough screwing around, Sasuke. Just like that, finally, as if called by his mother to come to dinner, the child responds. He stands up. He turns to KK with his dead, evil eyes. KK says, you're not Sasuke, you're the monster. KK raises his hand and calls forth an energy that he discovered that day long ago. The day he found his back against the wall, reaching out and touching the ether crystal. KK says, ever heard of ethereal weaving, monster? Energy surges into KK's hand, green light winding and glowing, charging around his fingertips. The increasingly bright light glows, illuminating the tunnel. And in that moment, standing in the center of the tunnel, we can see this monster, this raincoat visitor, just in time for it to press a child's whistle to its mouth and... call help? Call more monsters? Okay, so now So did we get teleported just now? At a stranger's fingertips lies KK, now a prisoner. Stranger says, I need my subject to remain calm or else nothing will get done. Oh, is this the guy with the mask that they refer to as he? Despite being captive, KK flashes the stranger a fierce glance. KK says, you son of a bitch. Stranger says, hello, my new friend. I'm keen to see how useful your vessel turns out to be. The stranger takes something out and holds it in his hand. An amulet, though clearly not simply for decoration. It surges with power. He looks from the amulet and back to KK and smiles. Okay. I don't know. That had to have been a flashback. Surely. Still random timing, though. As the monstrous little raincoat visitor blows his whistle, he steps back into the shadowy darkness. KK says, running away, huh? But he's not running away at all. In fact, he's only making space for the people, you know, his friends. That's what a whistle does, right? There they are. Two much larger, far more horrifying visitors to show up and challenge KK. KK says, I've been waiting to run into you again. Let's go, you bastards. Damage a single visitor with a mind attack. Oh. Defensive barrier? Damage a single visitor with a wind attack? Visitor... This is weird. A talisman that stops visitors from moving. It will be consumed on use. I mean, I guess I'll do this. Don't move. The umbrella visitors are frozen in place. Only one stun talisman is left. Damage a single visitor with a wind attack. One umbrella visitor is injured. The umbrella visitors awaken from the stun. Kill one. Oh. Defensive barrier. A barrier appears in front of KK. An umbrella visitors, but its attack is deflected by the barrier. The barrier is broken. I mean, I can just barrier every time they attack, right? And then just finish it off. KK says you're done. Finish it off? Okay. The fight now over, the sewer is oddly calm again. KK sweeps the space looking for any clues they may be left behind. KK says, why would a pack of monsters manifest their evil here? But then he sees it, affixed to one wall of the tunnel. A wooden tag someone called a Kafuda. KK says, this must be what summoned those things. KK reaches out to take the Kafuda down, but as his fingertips approach it... Okay, so here we are. The world's gone to shit. KK says, Rinko? God damn it, Rinko. Erica? KK feels a big quick thump through his body. When he looks down, he sees someone else's arm stabbing through his chest. It's horrifying. Black smoke rushes out of his body. Looking back up, KK sees a man wearing a Hanya mask. KK says, you're... Gasp. As KK comes to, he realizes that he's in the tunnel once again. No, still, he looks at his chest, it's totally fine. No gaping hole, not even a scratch. Sweating, breathing heavy, his mind races. It was a horrible dream, maybe a vision. He grips the Kafuda in his hand. KK says, I won't let him get away with this. So hard that it smashes into pieces. At that moment, KK realizes he's not actually alone. Distracted by his fury, he had missed the approach of someone new. KK says, who's there? Surprised, he spins to face this entity before he can raise his other hand. Ah! Are we just not going to see who it was? Oh. Okay. It's a fake. KK emerges from the tunnel to find Ryota waiting with the rest of the team. Erika says, "You made it." Of course I did. Hope you weren't too worried. It's good to see you in the welcoming party. What happened? He either got replaced or there's something different about him. Erika says, "It's embarrassing to admit it, but I actually was starting to get a little worried. Rinko and Ed's monitoring system was off the charts. All kinds of activity around here. And then when we got here, you were gone and didn't come right back up. It was a long few minutes of trying to play it cool. If I lost you, what would I have left? Not very much, I'm afraid." Keiki says, "There are plenty of things in your life more worthy than me." Erika just says, "That's just it, I guess. I am being selfish, I think. When I see you, when I think about everything you've been through, I know that we're similar people. Except you're much stronger. If you didn't survive, how could I ever? Maybe we're not totally the same on the surface or whatever, not at all the same, but the loss that you've experienced deep down," Keiki says, "if anyone could possibly understand, it's you. Please, Erika, don't focus on me. Sure, I came back this time, but it could have gone the other way. Or maybe it's already gone the other way. It's hard to explain to someone young like you who's been through so much but has their whole life ahead of them. You've got to live for yourself, can't help anyone else's situation until you get the control of your own. I know your heart. It may be broken, but with your father, what your father did to your family, and I'll never forgive him. But those broken pieces are in the right place. You need to be strong for yourself, then you can stand beside me and Rinko and Ed, and we can put our lives on the line for the people we love, together. And even then, things are going to be fine, just you wait and see." Safely above ground, reunited with his team, Keiki turns his attention to the original source of all his drama, his young client Ryota. Keiki says, "You were never going to tell me, were you?" Oh! Keiki says, "Sasuke isn't your best friend, he's your dog. Or, I mean, he could be both." Yeah, exactly. Ryota says, "He's my dog and my best friend." Keiki steps back nervously as Sasuke tries to jump into his lap, tail wagging. Rinko says, "Oh, calm down. He just wants to be pet." Geez, who'd have thought that such a tough as Nail's former detective would have such a strong phobia around dogs? Keiki says, "Don't have to broadcast it, alright?" Oh, oh, never mind. It was the dog the new vis that he found. Okay. It was the dog that, okay, never mind. He's fine. Ryota says, "Don't be scared. Sasuke loves everyone." Keiki says, "Maybe he could draw the line at loving monsters and following them into the sewer." Ryota hugs his dog and gets a face full of licks in response. Keiki relaxes slightly, seeing how harmless this little dog is, but still keeps some distance. Ryota says, "Thank you so much for bringing him home safely, Mr. KK." Rinko says, "Mr. KK? What an adorable alias. When exactly did you start going by this new short nickname, KK? I suppose it has a fun ring to it. Not quite so formal as your full name, Oh, wow, I didn't get to find out. Ed says, "Before we get too sidetracked, as the lead investigator on this one, you've got some paperwork to do, KK." KK says, "Not sure what's worse, finding monsters or filling out all these damn forms." Erika says, "It's obvious that you prefer the fighting to paperwork." KK scribbles out a few quick lines, only Ed can read them. KK says, "Hey kid, this is for you." Ryota says, "Oh, is it a prize for helping you find the ghost?" KK says, "Almost. It's the bill." Ryota faces sinks as he's left holding the check. KK says, "Lucky for you, today's work is pro bono. That means free. Consider this your receipt. I'm feeling generous right now." Ryota looks closely at the paper in his hand. It says, "The case of the cursed manhole. Extermination complete. KK." Leaning over his shoulder, Rinko lets out an uncharacteristically loud burst of laughter. Rinko says, "Oh, now I get it. You didn't choose the nickname KK. Sloppy paperwork chose it for you." KK says, "There's a lot in life that we don't get to choose." Wow. Imagine giving yourself a nickname based on your terrible handwriting. Oh, that looks like a K and a K. KK says, "Call me what you like. Not like I've got any use for a real name these days, and definitely not one of my old names. It doesn't matter what anyone calls me so long as I find that bastard. The guy with the mask." KK's gaze looked fierce as though he's recalling a bitter past. Reflected in his eyes is Ryota, who looks pleased to have received KK's autograph. KK's expression softens up in response. Says, "That said, I guess KK's not so bad." And that's it, right? Okay. That is it. Okay, so whether or not any of this actually plays a part, well, we know the mask guy will 100% in the main game. We don't know of any of these other characters in the main game, or I don't at least. Yeah, I mean, just a little, not really I mean, we're still gonna have a lot of questions about. We didn't really get much answers as to where this entity came from, where anything originated from. Really, we just basically met a few characters that might play a part in the main story. But as far as like what exactly is going on, we still have no idea. Nothing answered.